Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Pardo Benitez. I will be presenting disaster management plans in Nicaragua. So, Nicaragua is a developed country in Central America. It is actually the largest country in Central America. It is touching the border right there at the top of Honduras, and at the bottom, it is touching Costa Rica. I believe it's important to know where Nicaragua is and about its landscape. So, Nicaragua is touching both tectonic plates. And some of its history is that it does have a long history of recurrent natural disasters, and the population is extremely vulnerable because there's a high poverty rate. It is actually about 46% of the population. And obviously, we know that the poor and stuff are one of the most vulnerable. So, that's a very high rate of a very vulnerable population. Um, and they actually suffered two disasters every year for the last century, which is a lot. And what the biggest issue with Nicaragua is that it's not the magnitude per se of the natural disasters, but it's how frequent it is. And they also face two or more hazards as well. So they could have like a storm, and then there could be like a drought or things like that. Like they just face many hazards. So they're actually known as the leader of disaster management in Central America because they did establish a disaster management plan, and it's called um, it's SINAPRED is in Spanish and DRM is in English, and it was established in the year 2000. So it does suffer greatly from these natural disasters, which are tropical storms, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, floods, and landslides. So the storms, I would say, like the tropical storms, are the ones that cause the most havoc because maybe they are the most frequent. And Nicaragua's buildings do have kind of weaker infrastructure per se, even though that they have tried to enforce updating building codes and making the infrastructure durable for all the natural disasters that they do face. But yeah, the efforts for the tropical storms are actually the most expensive. And I will be elaborating on that on my research paper about actually how expensive it is compared to earthquakes and landslides. So some of their framework includes the building codes, the programs. They actually have a risk management program in schools and basically enforcing the codes. 30 of the 30 cities within Nicaragua are the ones with highest risk, and the government needs to continue to enforce them and make further efforts. There's poor governance in that area, and that is something that needs to continue. Um, so the government at different levels is involved. They depend heavily on outside aid. The local governments are actually very dependent on the outside aid from the United States and other countries as well. Their budget is a big issue, and their dependence is also not a good thing. So it is something that the government has to work on as well. And other obstacles that face them is climate change. Well, climate change is not good for, at all, but it is very worrisome for countries like Nicaragua that do face many hurricanes and tropical storms and other things like this. Climate change can make them even more frequent. They do have a lot of government and political division, which is not, helping with unity and makes things more easy. There has also been unplanned urban growth, and that was not included in the disaster management plans, which was an obstacle and stuff. And the recovery does become a little bit more difficult because of the frequency of these natural disasters. And there is also technological limitations, again, probably again because of the economic resources. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Have a wonderful day.